up, everyone? It is I, Key, and welcome back to the space where we critique ourselves, okay? I am Key, and I'm so excited to be with you guys again today, and I'm equally excited about this content, this topic that we're going to be talking about today, and that is fear. Fear, the perfect fuel is what I call it. Fear is the most perfect fuel there is. Fear, we all have experienced some sort of fear at some point in our lives. You may be experiencing fear right now with this COVID-19 virus that is going on. It's a lot of fear. We're all experiencing some level of fear in this season of our lives, okay? And fear has a tendency to overtake our abilities to think clearly and rationally if it's not properly challenged, or channeled. That's what I want to say, properly channeled, okay? Whether you have a fear of public speaking, a fear of snakes, or fear of death. Fear is something that is real. It is something that triggers us and can either fuel us to do some amazing things, or it can stop us and block us from moving at all. For an example, a mother whose child is left in a burning building, that fear of losing her child, she ain't thinking nothing about the flames or the smoke, baby. She gonna run smooth into the fire to get her child. That's the type of fear that can empower you to do something amazing. But then there's also the fear that can hinder you. The fear of public speaking, for an example. You know in your heart of hearts that God has called you to speak publicly, but you're afraid. You're afraid of their faces, what people are going to think, what they're going to say about you, and how you perceive. That fear can stop you and can hinder you from growing if it's not properly dealt with. So how then do we overcome fear? How then are we supposed to push past the fear? Well, first of all, the first thing that we need to realize is that is that fear is to be respected. Fear is something that we should absolutely respect and take hold of, and try to understand why we are afraid. So, for an example, I was raised, and some of you are starting to hear my story, but I was raised by a teenage mother who, she had abusive relationships in her life. I was sexually abused as a child. And so I had a certain fear of males or men's raised voices out of anger. When I hear a man yells, even to this day, I'm a whole lot better now. But years ago, it would make me tremble inside. It would scare me to hear a man yell out of anger or raise his voice in a stern way, because the men that I knew of, when anytime they had a stern voice or they raised their voice, we were about to be hurt. You understand what I'm saying? So the trauma of the voice triggered those memories, triggered that thing that caused me to freeze. So it wasn't until I got older and my children were young and my then husband, would, want to sternly discipline them, which they needed that, you know what I'm saying? But it would scare me at times because it triggered something in me. And I'm like, babe, don't yell at them like that. Don't do that. And he thought that it was like me trying to prevent him from disciplining the children. But little did we know, and little did I know, it was the trauma of my childhood that was surfacing. It was surfacing. So I had to deal with that. I had to get over those fears of being, hurt if I hear a male's voice raised. So, because it can turn into anxiety. It can keep you bound. It can keep you chained. It can keep you locked if you don't understand where that fear comes from. So how then, Key, how am I supposed to overcome fear? How did you overcome your fear? Well, one of the things that I honestly believe is to overcome fear is to confront it. And I'm not saying run into the lion's den. You're afraid of lions, so just go get in with the lion's den. So don't get all crazy, okay? What I'm saying by confronting it is figure out why. What happened? What has caused you to feel fear? Because fear is a safety measure. Fear is designed to save your life, not hinder your life. Fear is designed to catapult you and to push you, not to keep you stuck and bound. So if fear is keeping you from moving, then it is irrational and it's displaced. So you got to understand what it is that is causing you to be afraid. I'm claustrophobic. I don't like closed spaces. If the space is too close, it freaks me out. Do you think I'm going to go get in a tunnel because I'm afraid of closed spaces? No. But what I have done is, when I remember I had to get an MRI done, and if you ever had an MRI, you have to lay on this table and you go underneath this big, tube, this, it's like a tubey type thing, but it's a bulb, and you slide under, and they're doing the scans of your body. And so when I had to go in there, I was afraid, because it was closed in. The whole room was there. But to look at that and say, I got to slide underneath that, scared me. My mouth was dry. My hands was sweaty. I was hyperventilating. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And they were like, you need to do this. You have to. So I had to face my fear by taking a moment. I took a moment and I meditated. And I talked to God, and I said, this is not going to hurt me. It's not going to kill me. I'm going to make it out of there. It's going to be okay. I had to intentionally breathe. I had to listen to my breathing. I had to settle myself. I had to listen to my heartbeat. I had to remember that I'm okay and that I'm alive and that you're going to be fine and you could do this. You could get through this. And once I started breathing and saying those things to me, I was able to get on that table and get my test done. Now, do I still like small spaces? No, I don't. However, I understand where my fear comes from. I understand that is something that can hinder me. So I will program myself to do that thing afraid. Because that's sometimes the bottom line, guys, is that we have to just do it afraid. You're afraid of water. You're afraid to swim. You may have to just get in there and do it afraid. Do it with somebody that you trust, and do it with somebody that you know is going to be there for you. But you may have to confront that fear and just get in that pool, baby. Just let your feet dangle in the water. I'm not saying just immerse yourself in the water, but take baby steps. Go to the swimming pool. Put your feet in there. See that you're going to be okay. That you can control. You have enough control of the situation where you can decide whether you want to get in or get out. Once we realize that we have the ability to talk ourselves out of that thing in which we are afraid by doing it afraid. If you're afraid to speak in front of people, start small. Start with a room full of your family members, 2 or 3 people, and start getting your practice on and see how they respond to you. And then let it build up. Talk to yourself first. You can be the perfect audience. See how that flows for you. But do things afraid. Don't allow fear to hinder you, because you are special. You have gifts and God wants to use you. But if you allow that fear to stop you, you're going to be stuck, and you're going to be resentful and regretful and wishing that you would have stepped out of your comfort zone and did something that you knew, that you know deep down inside is something that God called you to do. So, guys, my message today is allow fear to be your fuel. Think about why you're afraid of that thing. Assess that thing. Pray over that thing and see if it's something that you can accomplish, or see if it's something that you can do afraid. But if it's keeping you from living your best life, it's irrational, it's a hindrance, and it's in your way, and you have to deal with it right now. I love you guys. I pray that this is blessing you, and until next time.